Hello everyone. Today I'm going to discuss RBI Grade B DPR 2024 Phase 1 Objective Type Economics Paper Analysis. It held on September 14, 2024. Before we move forward, please subscribe our channel for more updates. Coming to Phase 1 exam, this time RBI has disappointed many students because unlike the previous trend, this time we have more fact-based question more towards Indian economy. Very few numerical, only 5 to 6 numerical questions are there. There are no statistics questions and very less econometrics theory based questions. Where the problem is given to you and you need to tell the answer without solving it, right? So there are no numerical in econometrics too. Then there are two questions, and those two questions seems to have an error. These two are numerical based questions, right? So this time, the overall picture is many students are not so happy because of the recent change in trend. There are more fact-based questions, more towards Indian economy, and very less thinking-based or numerical questions. Let's start with some of the questions. As per the new monetary aggregate, based upon the recommendation of Dr. Y.V. Reddy committee, the domestic sector are divided into which of the following categories? So you all know that in the case of Dr. Y.V. Reddy committee, the domestic sector divided into the government sector, banking sector, and non-government, non-bank sector. Yeah. So option C should be the correct answer. Now, what is the formula for the money multiplier? Money multiplier is equals to 1 by CRR. Money multiplier is equals to 1 by cash reserve ratio plus excess reserve ratio. Money multiplier is equals to 1 by required reserve ratio. Money multiplier is equals to total multiplied by total bank reserves. So most of the students may take this answer, but this is wrong, right? Because ideally the money multiplier is equals to 1 by required reserve ratio. So this is the correct answer. Yeah. What is the primary objective of National Food Security Act NFSA 2023? So the prime objective is to provide subsidized food grain to approximately two-thirds of Indian population. So this is a prime objective, right? So option C again should be the correct option in this scenario too. In solo model, what is the effect of an increase in saving rate on the long-term growth rate of an economy? So we all know that when your saving rate will increase, first of all, there is the level effect. Because of level effect, your output tend to increase. But once we have reached the new steady state, your output per capita will be again constant, right? So let's see the option. It leads to permanent increase in long-term growth rate of output. It has no effect on long-term growth rate of output, but increases steady state level of output. So this is the correct option, Richard, because it says that it has no effect of long-term growth rate of output. Once you have reached the new steady state, then again the growth rate of Y by L is constant, right? It is not changing, right? But it increases the steady state level of output. So this should be the correct option. Yeah. Then we have in Herodomer model, if saving rate is 20% and the capital output ratio is 2, what is the growth rate of economy? So we know that the growth rate of economy is S by V, where S is 0.2, 20%, and V is 2 and 200, just to see the percentage. So which is equals to 10%. So here the correct answer should be 10%. Which is, yep. Okay. What does weak axiom of reveal preference RAP state? So in the case of RAP, we all know that if any consumer will choose bundle A when he can afford bundle B, he should not choose bundle B when he can afford bundle A, right? So RAP says that if any consumer is choosing bundle A when bundle B is affordable, then it should not be the case that the same consumer will choose bundle B when bundle A is affordable, right? So in this case, option B is correct. If a consumer chooses a bundle A over bundle B when both are affordable, then should not choose B over A in another situation when both are still affordable. Yeah. So option B is the correct option to check. What does the Purchasing Managers Index PMI measure? So again, the basic definition, the it measures the economic health of the manufacturing and the service sector based upon purchasing managers survey response. Yep. So as you see, there are more factual based, whether you know it. So this is binary. You know it or you don't know it, right? So there is no in between. There is no thinking based question, right? Or the numerical based questions. Okay. What does the exchange rate pressure index ERPI measure? Again, the basic definition of it. The pressure of the pressure on a country's exchange rate based upon the combination of its currency value, its foreign exchange reserves, and the economic fundamentals. So again, the basic definition, nothing. uh, So if you see again the factual based question, binary option, whether you know it or you don't, there is nothing in between, right? So therefore, RBI has disappointed us in this paper, right? Okay. A firm practices third degree price discrimination by charging different prices to two distinct consumer groups based upon their willingness to pay. The firm faces the following demand functions. Q1 is equals to 50 minus 2P1, Q2 is equals to 80 minus 4P2. The firm's marginal cost is 10. What are the optimal quantities for each group? A firm maximizes its profit. So we know that we need to equate MR1 with MC and MR2 with MC. First of all, convert this into P as a function of Q or the inverse one function. So we can say that P1 is equals to 25 minus Q1 by 2, and here P2 is equals to 20 minus Q2 by 4. So here your will be MR1 will be 25 minus Q1 and MR2 will be 20 minus Q2 by 2. Since MR1 should be equals to MC, therefore 25 minus Q1 is equals to 10, and hence your Q1 is equals to 15. And in this scenario, this is equals to 20 minus Q2 by 2 is equals to 10. 10 is equals to Q2 by 2, and hence your Q2 is equals to 20, right? So we have both Q1 and Q2. This is how you need to solve this question, Vijay. Okay, given the following information, the fitted equation y hat is equals to 3 plus 2x. Observe values y is equals to 14 and x is equals to 4. Calculate the residual. We know that if I write the stochastic form of regression equation, this is equals to b1 plus b2 xi plus ei, right? And we have given that the value of b1 is 3, the value of b2 is 2 xi plus ei. Now, if x equals to 4, we know that y is equals to 14. This is the actual figures given to you. So this is 14, which is equals to 3 plus 2 into 4 plus EI. So this is 14 is equals to 3 plus 8 EI. Therefore, 3 is equals to EI, or EI is equals to 3. So the residual EI is equals to 3. Very simple question. Yeah. Okay. Now match the development theory with their respective proponents. Theories are theory of unbalanced growth, theory of critical minimum effort, creative destruction, stages of economic growth. So very popular theories. In this case, theories of unbalanced growth will be matched with Hirschman. So one is matching with A. Theory of critical minimum effort is matching with Debustin. So two is matching with B. Creative destruction is Schumpeter. So three is matching with D. And stages of economic growth is Rostow. Four is matching with C. So this is the correct approach. Yeah. Okay. According to Linder's overlapping demand theory, which factor is crucial for international trade between similar countries? Again, if you know the definition, you know the answer. If you don't, then you don't know the answer, right? So in this case, the answer is according to Linder's overlapping demand theory, countries with similar level of economic development are more likely to trade with each other due to overlapping consumer demands. So this is the correct option. So the theory says that if you have similar economic development in country A and in country B, then the consumer living in country A and the consumers living in country B have similar demand, and therefore they can trade with each other, right? So therefore option B is correct here, Bachchan. Okay, then we have a question related to the trends of saving rate in India, the highest saving rate decade in India. So I have shown you different trends here. You can pause this video and read all the trends. But since the question is asking about the saving rate decade, the highest saving rate decade in India, so this is in the case of 2000 till 2010, around 7 8, right? 2007 2008 peak saving. The 2000s saw a peak in the saving rate. The household saving rate, which had been rising steadily, reached its highest point during this decade. This was driven by a combination of economic growth, increased incomes, and the high rate of personal savings. Yeah. Okay. Now, what is the short run effect of expansionary fiscal policy under flexible exchange rate design with perfect capital mobility? Again, a question related to Mundell-Fleming model, right? We have an expansionary fiscal policy under flexible exchange rate regime with the perfect capital mobility. So let's draw this and let's understand what the question is saying. Mm. So this is your VP line, which is horizontal. This is your IS curve. This is your LM curve. If there is expansionary fiscal policy, your IS curve will move, or rather shift rightward. Now let me mark the interest rate. This is I is equals to I market or I world, you can say. Now in India, interest rate goes up. I1. This is your output. Y1. Right. Now in this scenario, since right now I1 is more than I, which is equals to IW, Therefore, there will be inflow of capital in India, right? And because of this inflow of capital, exchange rate will appreciate, right? And when exchange rate will appreciate, what will happen? When exchange rate will appreciate, the export will be lesser and imports will be more, right? So let's see which option is correct here. So increase in output and income, decrease in interest rate. So this is wrong. Interest rate is increasing. Increase in output and income, correct. Increase in interest rate, correct. Appreciation of domestic currency, that is also correct. And decrease in net exports, that is also correct, right? So sorry, this C should be written over here. This is a typo, Bachchan. Yeah. So option B is correct, Bachchan. Yeah. Okay. Which of the following statement accurately describe the JB test criteria? We know that JB test is for or to test the normal distribution, right? So in this case, the correct answer is the JB test measures the skewness and the kurtosis of the distribution to assess normality, right? To assess normality. Yeah. So this is the correct option. Again, if you see, this is more factual based, right? You know it or you don't, right? Okay. In the ISLM model, what happens if the demand for money, as money holder, increases, all else being equal? So if the demand for money increases, your LM curve will shift towards left, right? And in this scenario, let's say we have this IS, we have this LM, and since our LM curve is shifting towards left, this will happen. And in this scenario, earlier your interest rate is I0, now your new interest rate is I1. Earlier your income is Y0, now your new income is Y1. So income is decreasing, interest rate is increasing. So in this case, interest rate rises and output decreases is the correct option. Okay. Yep. Okay. How do you how do expected inflation and changes in payment technology affect money demand? So the question is about if your expected inflation increases and changes in payment technology means, for example, right now we have digital payments, right? UPI is there. So how will it affect the money demand? So we all know that if there is increase in inflation, we tend to save more. And if there is change in payment technology, let's say right now we have the UPI option, we tend to keep less cash with us because right now what UPI is doing, UPI is giving us instant cash options, right? So in this case also your money demand will be lesser, money demand in terms of cash, right? So the correct answer is option B. The expected inflation decreases the money demand and improvement in payment technology decreases the money demand, right? So both will decrease the money demand. Okay. According to quantity theory of money, which is MV is equals to PY, what is the predicted effect of change in velocity of money, this V, on price level in the long run? So if we are in the long run, and if this and this are constant for the time being, any increase or any change in V will impact directly the changes in P, right? So in this scenario, the correct option is option A. An increase in velocity of money leads to a proportional increase in the price level with output remaining unchanged. Yeah, so option A is correct here. So in this question, whenever you see this question, you need to write the equation first, and then you need to match the options. Yep. Okay. The Stoppler-Samuelson theorem is the result in international trade theory. According to this theorem, an increase in price of a good will what? So first, let me tell you the theorem, and then we can see the option. The theorem states that when the price of a good increases, the real income of the factors of production used instant intensively in producing that good will increase. So let's say we have a good, right? We have some good here, and in this case, we are saying we are using labor and capital, and it is a labor intensive uh, good, right? So in this case, we are using labor intensively, but not capital as we are using the labor. So in this scenario, if the price of this good increases, what will happen? It will increase the price of labor. That means it will increase the wage, right? Or real wage rather of this labor, but it will not increase the price of capital or the rent, right? So in this scenario, the theorem says that when the price of the good increases, so like here, the real income of the factor of production used intensively in producing that good will increase. That means W is increasing, while the real income of the factor used less intensively will decrease. So in this case, R is going to decrease. This reflects how trade impacts income distribution across different factors of production. For example, if a country is capital abundant and the price of capital intensive good rises, the capital owner will benefit and laborers may lose. Yeah. So in this case, we need to choose the correct option now, given the definition we have. So correct option is option A, benefit of the owners of factors of production that is used intensively in the production of good and harm owners of the other factors of production. So benefit is going to the production factors of production that we are using intensively, and harm because their price is going down. So in my example, the price of capital, which is rent, is going down. Therefore, there is a harm for the owners of other factors of production, which is capital in this case, and which is labor, as per this example. Which is, yeah, okay. Now, what is the prime theme of Indian Union Budget 2024-25? The correct answer is employment, skilling, MSMEs, and the middle class. So if you are choosing this option is correct. Again, the factual based question, right? Not expected these many factual based questions from RBI for DPR particularly. Yeah. Okay. Which of the following is correct grouping of dimensions of indicator used in Niti Aayog's multidimensional poverty index? Yep. So again, in the case of multi-dimensional poverty index, we all know that the indicators are health, education, and standard of living. So if you're choosing this option, this is absolutely correct, right? Okay, now there is one question. We need to define the MSME. So I have written on the definition. The definition of MSME is micro, small, and medium enterprise. Under the Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprise Development MSMED Act 2006, MSME in India are defined based upon investment plant and machinery or equipment and annual turnover. As of 2020, the revised classification is for micro enterprise, the investment should be up to 1 crore and the turnover should be up to 5 crores. For small enterprise, the investment is up to 10 crores and the turnover is up to 50 crores. And for the medium enterprise, the investment is up to 50 crores and the turnover is up to 250 crores. Bachchan. So this is the definition, right? Now, since we all know that this is the memory based questions, so right now we do not have the complete question, but what student had shared us, the student has shared us, they have asked the definition of MSME. So in that case, this is the complete definition. If you can see any option matching the definition, that option is the correct option. Okay. What are the potential consequences of high multiplicarity in a simple regression model? So we know that if there is high multiplicarity, first of all, your variance of any estimator will tend to rise, right? And in this case, since your t is nothing but equals to b2 by standard error of b2, and since your variance is increasing, your this term, your standard error will tend to rise, and the value of t calculated will tend to fall. It might be possible when there is no multiplicarity, this b2 will give you the significant test. But because of multiplicarity, your variance is increasing, and because of that, your standard error are also increasing. The key t calculated decreases, and now the result will become insignificant, right? So this is a problem in the case of multiplicarity. So we have inflated standard errors and unreliable coefficient estimate. Why unreliable? Because earlier it might be significant, but because of multiplicarity, we can see they are insignificant, right? And let me tell you one more thing. In the case of multiplicarity, your variance will tend to rise, but your estimators are still blue. Yep. So please do remember that. Okay. Autocorrelation violates which of the assumption of CRLM? Autocorrelation violates the autocorrelation assumption of classical linear regression model. It says that it should not happen then that the two error terms ui and uj are correlated with each other. Therefore, the covariance of ui uj should be equal to 0. And if it is not equal to 0, then there is a problem of auto correlation. So the assumption is there is no auto correlation between the error terms. So this is a assumption. And auto correlation violates this assumption, right? Okay. Separation of real and nominal variables of the classical theory is called. Very important concept. We all know this. This is known as the classical dichotomy, which means that the real variables, for example, output, employment, and real wages, are not affected by the nominal variables such as the money supply or the price level in the long run. In other words, changes in nominal side of the economy, like changes in money supply, only affect nominal variable, which is price and wages, but do not impact the real variables. So this is a well known theory that if you change the money supply, and we know that money is neutral, which means that the neutrality of money says that in the case of long run, if you increase your money supply, it will only increase the price level, but not there is no change in output. Output is not changing in long run, right? So this is a very famous theory, bache. So in this case, I think many of you have done this correctly. Oh, okay. Then we have next question, the new trade theory Krugman predicts. So what is the theory? So let me tell you the theory. The new trade theory, Krugman began to expand his original model to predict not only what goods are produced where, but also why labor. So this is the addition, which is why labor and capital tend to concentrate in certain countries and regions and not in others. So this is a new a trade theory movement predicts, and he wants to know that why. So, what goods are being produced where? Secondly, why labor and capital tend to concentrate in certain countries and regions and not in others. So, if you see any option like this, you need to mark that option actually. Okay. Then we have Ricardo comparative advantage theory. Again, the focus should be on comparative advantage theory and the definition of it. It says that countries can benefit from international trade by specializing in what they are best at. That means the efficiency. We are talking about the efficiency and importing what they are not. So, for example, let's say we have two goods, good A and good B, and let's say we need to make a decision now. In this case, we are or country will be producing only that good where it specializes, right? Where we can produce more good, right? So again, the efficiency matters, right? So if you think country, so there are two goods, good A and good B, and there are two country one and country two. It might be possible that country one has the efficiency in producing A and country two has the efficiency in producing B. And now, since they have comparative advantage, so for one, the comparative advantage is producing A, for two, the comparative advantage is in producing B. Now they can trade A and B, right? Only if they have comparative advantage. If they don't, then there is no trade happening, right? Okay. Okay, the demographic transition theory. The question is about the stages. So I've written on all three stages here. Stage one is there is high birth and the death rate leads to slow population growth. Stage two is the death rate falls, but the birth rate remains high. This is because of literacy, and the death rate because falls because of the hospitalization and the improvement in Medicare sector. So this will leading to the faster population growth rate, right? So here there is slow population growth. It will lead to second is faster, and the third is again coming back to slow. Why? Because in the third, the birth rate starts to fall, so the population growth starts to slow down, right? So we have discussed all three stages, Vache. Now, since I don't know the options there, so whichever option matching these three stages should be the correct option. Yeah. Okay. If the factor prices are equal, the slope of isocont. Now, in this case, you need to assume that there is a normal isocont where or which is a well-behaved coming from the well-behaved production function. So in this case, let me first draw the isocost line. So this is isocost line, and then let's say this is your isocont. So in this case, what is the slope here? So we know that in this case, the slope of isoquant is equals to slope of isocost line. And what is slope of isocost line? Isocost line is nothing but the wages by R, given that we are taking L and K here. And since they are equal, given that say if factor prices are equal, it is given. Therefore, this is equals to 1 because it is negative slope. Therefore, the slope of isoquant is equals to -1. Many people may have clicked this option, but this is wrong. -1 is the correct option because we can see the slope is negative. Actually. Yep. Okay. Now, what is effective revenue deficit? Right. So the effective revenue deficit is the difference between revenue deficit and the grants for the creation of capital assets. Again, the definition. Well, if you know it, you can select the correct answer. If you don't, you can't. Right? Okay. Okay. Now the question is on Bertrand competition. Let me tell you the definition of Bertrand combination in the case of homogeneous goods. So Bertrand combination in the is a model of competition in which two or more firms produce a homogeneous good. Now they can also produce a heterogeneous goods, right? No problem with that. But right now I am telling with respect to the homogeneous good, right? Okay, if they're producing the homogeneous good and they need to compete in price because Butrint is competing in price simultaneously. Theoretically, this competition in price, providing the goods are perfect substitutes because of homogeneous goods, end with the firm selling their goods at the marginal cost, price equals to MC, and thus making zero economic profit. Right? And this is nothing but known as the Bertrand paradox. Bertrand paradox. Given that we have only a few firms, even then we are selling price equals to MC, which we used to do in the case of perfect competition. Why? Because the goods are homogeneous and we are competing in prices. So this is the most important. Just because we are competing in prices, we tend to charge price equals to MC, which is equals to the case where we are doing the same in the so we are doing this price equals to MC in the case of perfect competition. And but in the case of perfect competition, we know that there are huge number of sellers, but in the case of Bertrand, there are only few. So this is known as the paradox. Given that we have few sellers, even then we are charging price equals to MC, and this is known as the Bertrand paradox. Yeah. Okay. Now, Laffer curve predicts what happens as tax rate rises. So again, the predicted question one. So just drawing the Laffer curve picture. Here I don't tax revenue. Here I don't tax rate. Your Laffer curve will somewhat like this. So this is the optimal level of tax rate, right? So what is Laffer curve telling us? If you, let's say you are starting from here, if you are increasing your tax rate or tax revenue starts to rise, but after reaching this point, if you start increasing your tax rate, your tax revenue will go down. So this is a theory behind the Laffer curve. Now, given the option, if you can match this theory with the options, then you can obviously select the correct answer, right? But this is a theory around the Laffer curve. Yeah. Okay. Then we have Peacock-Weismann hypothesis criticism. What is that? So let me tell you the definition and the criticism. The Peacock-Weismann hypothesis recognizes the importance of public expenditure during the social crisis. So it is telling us the importance of public expenditure when there is social crisis. But the criticism is when there is social crisis, we are not very sure, right? So still, it has failed to explain the limit after which an economic problem can be qualified as social crisis. So it has given the solution that we have recognized the importance of public expenditure when there is social crisis, but failed to recognize when there is social crisis. So if we are not very sure about when there is social crisis, then how can we recognize the importance of public expenditure during social crisis? Yeah. So this is the criticism of Peacock-Weismann hypothesis. Yeah. Okay. The Lucas critique asserts that historical relationship between variable becomes irrelevant once economic policy changes. Okay, so now there is a question related to Lucas critique. I'm not very sure about the question, but as per the students, the question is around the definition of Lucas critique. So I have just written written down the definition. The Lucas critique asserts that the historical relationship between variables become irrelevant once economic policy changes. This is a famous Lucas critique. So, as an econometrician, what we do, we tend to measure the economic relationships between historical variables. But when there are change in economic policy, then that relationship becomes irrelevant. So this is a critique given by Lucas. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, you can write us either on this or this is our number. This is our website, bache. Yeah. Please download the app for more information or for more updates. Thank you so much, guys.